All right, welcome to The Explainer. Look, we are not here to swallow some sweet, sugary motivation pill today. We are here for a bitter, hard-hitting reality check. If you feel like your life is just stuck on this endless, completely unfulfilling loop and you're finally ready to break out of it, pay close attention. Today, we're going to map out a complete 90-day hard reset to basically delete your old identity. Okay, let's dive straight into this. I want you to think back to 2020. The whole world just stopped. We were all locked down, waiting for things to eventually get back to normal. But then, the pause button was lifted and time didn't just resume, it completely flew by. 2021, 2023, and suddenly, wow, we are staring down 2025. Years have literally vanished. Where on earth did they go? You wanted to do so much, right? But you're still in the exact same spot. Why? Because you've been living entirely on autopilot, totally numb to the passing of your own life. To actually fix this, we need a complete system. So here's the game plan. First, a reality check. Second, identifying your Trojan horse and traps. Third, a health transformation. Fourth, understanding wealth and value. Fifth, precise goal setting. And finally, number 6, the action loop. This is your modular framework to fix your entire life from the top down. Let's jump right into part 1, reality check, your comfort zone. There is this wild story about Alcatraz, the most dangerous, supposedly inescapable prison in America. Well, a few inmates once devised this brilliant, intricate plan to escape. But on the very last night, one of the guys backed out of pure fear. Why? Because if they got caught, the punishment was 3 days in a dark isolation cell. Just think about that for a second. He chose a guaranteed lifetime of being trapped in a miserable prison just to avoid 3 days of discomfort. And honestly, that is exactly what 99% of people do with their normal lives. They cling to cheap dopamine and autopilot routines because they're absolutely terrified of the temporary discomfort that comes with discipline. If you want to escape, you have to adopt a warrior mentality. You've got to embrace the difficult. So, what exactly is keeping you locked in this mental prison? That brings us to part 2, the Trojan horse and the monkey trap. And this brilliantly illustrates the problem. We willingly, voluntarily invite these beautiful, shiny distractions into our minds, totally oblivious to the fact that they are destroying our focus from the inside out. You know how hunters catch monkeys in the wild? They put a peanut in a heavy jar with a really narrow opening. The monkey reaches in, grabs the peanut, and makes a fist. But with a clenched fist, it literally can't pull its hand back out. To escape, all it has to do is just let go of the cheap peanut. But it refuses. And so it loses its freedom forever. Guys, you are that monkey. And your peanuts? They're endless social media scrolling, celebrity gossip, and obsessing over what everyone else is doing. You are holding on to cheap, totally insignificant things at the ultimate cost of your own life. Think of your brain's working memory exactly like a computer's RAM. If you are constantly struggling to take action, look, it's not because you lack motivation, and it's definitely not because you aren't smart enough. It is simply because your mental workspace is completely overloaded with garbage. 75% of your daily thoughts are being consumed by cheap dopamine and useless distractions. There's literally no space left to process your actual goals. You absolutely have to clear out the RAM. But listen, a hard reset isn't just a mental game. It's deeply physical too. Which leads us to part 3, health and your physical transformation. For any of you out there who maybe feel physically weak or skinny and you lack confidence because of it, there is this massive, fatal mistake keeping you trapped. It's what we call the skinniness myth. It's this irrational fear that, hey, if I start working out, I'll just burn my already low calories and get even skinnier. Because of this fear, people either do absolutely nothing or they just run on a treadmill for hours. But endless cardio isn't going to build a powerful physique. You don't need to burn fat right now, you need to build muscle, and you only get that through resistance. Let's move to and see how this builds into a foolproof physical system. It relies on 4 core pillars. Step 1, weight training. You absolutely must challenge the muscle. Step 2, nutrition. You've got to eat in a slight caloric surplus, because honestly, you can't build a brick house without any bricks, right? Step 3, recovery. The gym breaks your muscles down, they actually grow while you are in deep, quality sleep. And step 4, consistency. It's not about being perfect for 2 weeks. It is about being consistent for 6 months. That is the ultimate separator between who you are right now and who you actually want to be. All right, once your body and mind are primed, we have to attack your finances. Here is part 4, wealth and the game of value. And this is heavily inspired by the legendary Jim Rohn. Now, it's a pretty harsh reality to accept, but every single person gets the exact same 24 hours in a day. The person making minimum wage and the multimillionaire, they share the exact same clock. The market does not pay you for your time. The market pays strictly for the value you manage to squeeze into that time. If your income is low, it's simply because the value you're bringing to the marketplace is easily replaceable. Now, what's really interesting about this quote is how perfectly Jim Rohn sums it up. Working on your job makes a living, working on yourself makes a fortune. I mean, think about that. You literally cannot demand more money from the world without first upgrading yourself. You have to upgrade your skills, your communication, your leadership, and your mindset. Success isn't something you just chase around. It's something you attract by becoming a more valuable person. And tied right into that is the law of use. Basically, use it or lose it. There's this ancient story of a master who gave his 3 servants gold biscuits right before leaving on a long trip. The first 2 servants invested their gold, took big risks, and doubled their money. But the 3rd servant was so terrified of losing his gold that he just buried it in the dirt. When the master returned, he praised the first 2, but he immediately took the gold away from the 3rd. Why? Because whatever you do not use, you lose. If you hide your potential, your talents, and your energy just out of fear, they will eventually disappear forever. So how exactly do we direct all this new value you're building? That takes us to part 5, the power of goal setting. You really have to mechanically program your new future rather than just drifting through the years like we talked about at the very beginning. Here is another brutal truth. If you don't have a list of goals, I can guess your bank balance. Wow. But it's true. A lack of clear, written direction in your life directly correlates with financial and personal struggle. If you aim at nothing, you are going to hit it every single time. So to fix this, we're going to break Jim Rohn's goal categories down into 3 very specific buckets. Number 1, economic goals, like exactly how much do you want to earn? Plan it out. Number 2, material things. What do you actually want to possess? Write it down. And number 3, personal development. What kind of person do you need to become to get those things? Ask the universe for exactly what you want with specific intelligence and almost childlike faith. Don't be vague about this. Be precise and write it down today. But hey, a plan is absolutely nothing without execution, right? Which brings us to our final segment. Number 6, not motivation, action loop. We've got to cure this information addiction trap. You know the one, watching endless self-improvement content without actually changing a thing in your life. There's this eye-opening story of a boy walking along a beach, endlessly searching for this magical hot pebble that turns anything it touches into gold. For months, he picks up cold pebbles and throws them into the ocean. Pick up, throw. Pick up, throw. It becomes such a deeply ingrained habit that one day he actually picks up the hot magical pebble, and because he's on autopilot, he immediately throws it right into the ocean. He realizes a second too late what he just did. We need to wake up. Stop throwing away the magic of your daily opportunities just because you are completely numb to your own routine. So the crucial point is this. The trap you are likely falling into is waiting for motivation to strike before you take action. That is scientifically 100% backwards. Think about Newton's first law of motion. An object at rest stays at rest. You have to force that initial action. Action creates a result, that result creates motivation, and then that motivation drives even more action. You've got to push the boulder first to get it rolling downhill. Which really brings us to the ultimate question you need to ask yourself right now. Are you just passively consuming this information to feel productive? Or are you actually going to execute? This 90-day hard reset starts the literal second this explainer ends. Drop the peanut, turn off the autopilot, write down your goals, and take your very first uncomfortable action today. Thank you so much for joining me on The Explainer. Now let's get to work.